In the heart of New York City, where glass towers touched the clouds and ambition filled every hallway, the headquarters of Hale Global stood like a palace of power. Inside, the floors shined like mirrors, and every step echoed with importance. Richard Hale, the Millionaire CEO, was known for his sharp mind and even sharper temper. On this morning, he was already furious. A board meeting had gone wrong, investors were unhappy, and pressure was crushing his patience. Richard stormed out of the boardroom, his expensive shoes striking the marble floor with anger. His assistant tried to keep up, nervously holding a tablet full of schedules and calls. But Richard was too angry to listen. His eyes scanned the hallway, looking for something, anything, to release his frustration on. That was when he saw a janitor. The man was quietly mopping the floor near the elevator, wearing an old uniform and worn-out gloves. His movements were slow and careful, as if he did not want to disturb anyone. To Richard, this seemed like a perfect target. In his mind, someone like this should not be standing in such a high-profile area during business hours. "Hey, you don't belong here," Richard shouted, his voice echoing down the hallway. Everyone nearby stopped. Office workers froze, unsure whether to look or walk away. The janitor slowly lifted his head. His face was tired but calm, with eyes that held years of struggle. He did not seem afraid. "My name is Daniel Carter," he said quietly. "I'm just doing my job." Richard scoffed. "Your job? This is a private corporate floor. You people are supposed to clean after hours, not walk around when important people are working." Daniel gently rested his mop against the wall. "I was told to clean this floor this morning," he replied. "So that's what I'm doing." Richard stepped closer, his tall frame towering over Daniel. "I don't care who told you. You're in the way. Get out." Daniel took a deep breath. Years of hard work, long nights, and quiet sacrifices had taught him patience. He was not here to cause trouble. But he was also not here to be treated like nothing. "I'm not here for you," Daniel said, his voice steady. "I'm here for my daughter." The words surprised everyone. Richard frowned. "Your daughter? What does she have to do with this?" Daniel looked toward the glass doors at the end of the hallway. "My daughter, Lily, is inside this building. Today is important for her. She has her first big presentation as an intern. I promised I would walk her inside and wish her luck." The hallway grew quiet. Some employees exchanged glances. They had seen Lily before, a bright young woman who worked harder than anyone. Richard hesitated, though he did not want to show it. "So what? That doesn't give you permission to be here." Daniel nodded. "I know I'm just a janitor to you. But to her, I'm her father. I work 2 jobs so she can chase her dreams. I don't wear a suit, but I still belong wherever my child needs me." Those words hung in the air. Richard, who had spent his life chasing success and money, felt something shift inside him, though he tried to ignore it. For the first time, he saw not a janitor, but a man standing with quiet dignity. And somewhere behind the glass doors, Lily was about to step into the biggest moment of her young life, unaware that her father was fighting a different kind of battle just to stand by her side. The silence in the hallway felt heavier than the marble floor beneath their feet. Richard Hale looked at Daniel Carter again, but this time something was different. The anger in his eyes was slowly being replaced by curiosity. Daniel's words had struck a place in him he had not visited in years, a place that remembered family, not power. Before Richard could speak, the glass doors at the end of the hallway opened. A young woman stepped out, holding a folder close to her chest. Her hands were shaking slightly, and nervousness showed on her face. She looked around until her eyes found Daniel. "Dad," she said softly. Daniel's face immediately brightened. "Lily," he replied, walking toward her. "I was just making sure you were okay." Lily smiled with relief. "I didn't see you downstairs. I was worried you wouldn't make it." "I promised I would be here," Daniel said. "And I always keep my promises." Richard watched this scene in silence. The nervous intern, the proud father, and the simple moment of love felt strangely powerful in the cold corporate hallway. Lily noticed Richard standing nearby and quickly straightened her posture. "Sir, I'm sorry if we were in the way," she said politely. "I have a presentation in a few minutes." Richard looked at her, then at Daniel. "You're his daughter?" he asked. "Yes," Lily replied. "My father works very hard so I can study and work here. This internship means everything to me." Richard took a slow breath. For years, he had hired people based on numbers, achievements, and profits. But now he saw something else, determination built from sacrifice. I was wrong to raise my voice, Richard finally said, surprising everyone. This building belongs to people who work hard, no matter what uniform they wear. Daniel nodded respectfully. Thank you. Richard turned to Lily. What's your presentation about? It's about a new marketing strategy for small businesses, she answered. I believe even the smallest companies deserve a chance to grow. Richard raised his eyebrows, impressed. That's interesting. Lily's phone buzzed. I need to go now, she said nervously. They're waiting for me. Daniel placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. You've got this, he said. No matter what happens in that room, I'm proud of you. She smiled, tears forming in her eyes. That means everything, Dad. As Lily walked away, Richard found himself doing something unexpected. Wait, he said. She turned back. I'll be in that meeting, Richard said. I'd like to hear your ideas myself. Lily looked shocked. You will. Yes, Richard replied. Sometimes the best ideas come from the people who know struggle. When Lily left, Daniel stood quietly again, picking up his mop. He had no idea what would happen next, but he felt something warm in his heart. Richard watched him for a moment. A millionaire CEO and a janitor, standing in the same hallway, but in that moment, they were simply two men connected by something stronger than money, respect. And inside the conference room, Lily was about to change her future. Glowing star inside the large conference room, Lily stood at the front, her heart pounding. The walls were lined with senior executives, all dressed in sharp suits, their expressions serious. This was her first major presentation, and it felt like the weight of the entire building was resting on her shoulders. When the door opened and Richard Hale walked in, a soft murmur spread through the room. The CEO rarely attended intern presentations. Lily took a deep breath and began. Good morning, she said, her voice slightly shaky but clear. Today I want to talk about how Hale Global can support small local businesses and grow together with them. As she clicked through her slides, Lily spoke about real people, family-owned shops, struggling startups, and hard-working owners who only needed one chance to succeed. She explained how big companies could partner with them instead of crushing them. Her words came from the life she knew, from watching her father work long hours just to keep their home running. Richard sat quietly, listening closely. In the hallway, Daniel continued to mop the floor, but his thoughts were inside. That room with Lily. He whispered a small prayer, hoping his daughter would be strong and confident. Every sacrifice he had made, every late night and tired morning, was for this moment. Back in the conference room, Lily reached her final slide. This strategy isn't just about profit, she said. It's about respect. When we help small businesses grow, we build loyalty, community, and long-term success. The room was silent. Then one executive slowly began to clap. Another followed. Soon, the whole room was applauding. Lily felt tears fill her eyes. She had done it. Richard stood up. That was one of the most honest and powerful presentations I've heard in years, he said. Where did you get this perspective? Lily smiled softly. From my father. He taught me that every job has dignity. Richard nodded, feeling the truth of her words. Later, Lily walked back into the hallway, her face glowing with happiness. Daniel saw her and immediately knew something good had happened. How did it go? He asked. She ran to him and hugged him tightly. Dad, they loved it. Even the CEO said it was amazing. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. I knew you could do it, he whispered. At that moment, Richard approached them. Ms. Carter, he said, I'd like to offer you a permanent position on our marketing team. Lily gasped. Really? Yes, Richard said. And I have your father to thank for teaching you what true dedication looks like. Daniel was stunned. Sir, I just cleaned floors. Richard smiled gently. No, Mr. Carter. You build futures. For the first time in many years, Richard felt proud not because of money or power, but because he had chosen to see people for who they truly were. And in that shining building, a janitor's love had just changed everything. The news of Lily's job offer spread quickly through Hale Global. Employees who had once walked past Daniel without noticing him now smiled and nodded with respect. Daniel still wore the same janitor's uniform and pushed the same cleaning cart, but something had changed. People no longer saw him as invisible. They saw him as the father of the young woman who had impressed the CEO. Lily started her new role the very next week. She worked harder than ever, staying late, learning fast, and proving that she deserved her place. Every evening, she would meet her father in the lobby after his shift. They would sit on a bench, share a small meal, and talk about her day. Those quiet moments meant more to Daniel than anything money could buy. Richard Hale also felt different. He found himself thinking often about Daniel and Lily. For the first time in years, he started walking through the building instead of riding the elevator everywhere. He spoke to employees, learned their names, and even listened to their stories. The company slowly began to feel less like a machine and more like a community. One evening, Richard saw Daniel sitting alone in the lobby, waiting for Lily. He walked over and sat beside him. "You raised a remarkable daughter," Richard said. Daniel smiled. "I just tried to be a good father." Richard hesitated. "I spent most of my life chasing success. I forgot what really matters." Daniel looked at him kindly. "It's never too late to remember." A few days later, Richard announced a new program. It would provide scholarships and internships for children of hard-working employees, janitors, security guards, cafeteria workers, and everyone who kept the company running. "This company was built by many hands, not just mine," Richard told the staff. "It's time we honor that." The building filled with applause. Lily watched from the side, pride shining in her eyes. She knew her father had started this change without even trying. That night, Daniel walked home with Lily under the city lights. "I'm proud of you," he said. Lily shook her head. "I'm proud of you, Dad. You never gave up, even when life was hard." They hugged, knowing their journey had not been easy, but it had been worth it. And somewhere in a tall glass tower, a millionaire CEO was learning that true wealth is not measured in money, but in the lives you touch. City at dusk. Months passed, and Hale Global no longer felt like the cold, untouchable corporation it once was. The change had a name among employees, the Carter Effect. It wasn't written in any policy book, but everyone felt it. People greeted one another, managers listened more, and respect flowed in both directions. All of it had started with a janitor who refused to lower his head. Lily grew into her role with confidence. Her ideas helped the company expand into new markets while supporting small businesses across the country. She was no longer just an intern who got lucky, she was a leader in the making. Yet, despite her success, she never forgot where she came from. Every morning, she hugged her father before heading to her office, and every evening, they walked home together, talking about dreams and plans. Daniel continued working as a janitor by choice. Richard had offered him a desk job more than once, but Daniel politely refused. "I'm proud of honest work," he said. "And this job put my daughter where she is today." One afternoon, the company hosted a special event honoring unsung heroes, the employees whose efforts were often overlooked. To everyone's surprise, Richard stepped onto the stage and called out one name. "Daniel Carter." The room went silent. Daniel hesitated, then walked forward, his hands trembling. Richard handed him a plaque and spoke into the microphone. "This man reminded me what leadership truly means. He showed us that dignity does not come from a title, but from character." The room erupted in applause. Lily stood in the front row, tears streaming down her face. Later that evening, Richard sat alone in his office, looking out at the city skyline. For the first time in his life, the view didn't make him feel powerful, it made him feel grateful. He realized that success without humanity was empty. As for Daniel and Lily, their lives were no longer defined by struggle, but by purpose. They had proven that love, respect, and perseverance could open doors no key ever could. One simple sentence, "I'm here for my daughter," had changed everything. And in a world obsessed with status and wealth, a quiet janitor had left a legacy far greater than any millionaire ever could.